أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت ورحمت وباركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وقل جاء الحق وذهب الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا ولنزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة بالمؤمنين ولا يزيد الظالمين إلا خسارة. صدق الله العظيم. All praises and thanks belongs to the Almighty God, whose original name in the Semitic language is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the heavens and earth, the one and only God who has no partner, who has no equal, who has no associate, who is the sovereign commander of the heavens and earth, the sender of the prophet and the revealer of the scriptures. I bear witness that our holy prophet Muhammad, may the peace and all the blessings of God Almighty be upon him, is his messenger and the last of his prophets. Those who are listening to my voice or view me live on Facebook across the world, I am extending to each and every one of you the greetings of peace in the ancient Semitic language of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. We welcome each and every one of you to our blessed studio, popularly known as Walkia TV, here in Kumasi, under the leadership of my brother Sheikh Mohammed in the United States of America. This evening, your brother Sheikh RIDWN is on the platform, which is known as the final call. But today is very special day for me, because there's going to be an exclusive with my brother, the economic professor in the United States of America, known as Professor ABASS Mohammed, who is coming to educate us on finance, who is coming to, brief us what is going on in this world today. Because as you and I know, the government of Africa is being run from the outside of Africa. And the new slave maker, which is popularly known as the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve, have taken control of Africa and its resources. So this evening, I want each and every one of you to stay close to your TV or your mobile phones or Facebook in order to listen to our beloved Professor ABASS Mohammed in the United States of America. After my presentation, he's coming up to talk about issues which are very, very important, because we are Muslims. Islam is our ideological persuasion, and knowledge is the property of the Muslim. Even if that knowledge is in the hands of unbelievers, please go for it. That is your inheritance. I used to say, we who are blessed with knowledge, you don't need to be told you have a responsibility. It is like seeing a blind man across the street who wants to cross. What is your duty? Is to help him cross the street, because you can see but he cannot. So if you have knowledge, your duty is to share the knowledge with those who don't have. A majority of our people are ignorant of what is going on in the country. We live in a continent that is so rich. Half the resources of Africa, half the resources of the whole world is in Africa. Yet, we are underdeveloped. We are regarded as poor. When Africa is rich, but Africans are poor, this is not God's doing. This is man doing. We don't need money. We need education. With knowledge, you are power. Beautiful brothers and sisters, last week, that was a Saturday, I spoke intensively about about the transatlantic slave trade. It is part of our history. I said and I repeat, Allah did not create you to be the slave of anybody but Him. But circumstances has made us into becoming other people's property. So when you read the Bible in the book of Exodus, chapter number 21, verse number 20 to 21, you can testify that this is not the word of God. This is something that has been inserted in the Bible in order to put fear in us, those who are under the control of the British government or under the control of the slave masters in America or wherever you find yourself as a slave man from Africa to the Western world. And the book says, if a master beat his slave, male or female, with an iron rod, pause a little. Is it not barbaric to beat a fellow human being with an iron rod? And you want to tell me that this is from God? I will never believe that God will instruct such a thing in the Bible. It is rather the slave master who inserted this in order to put fear in us as slaves. How would you beat a human being with an iron rod? And the Bible went on to say, if he died as a result of beating him with an iron rod that day, then you are guilty. But if he lived a day or two, you are not responsible because he is your property. That is the Bible for you. Are you the property of a human being or the property of God Almighty? Can any human being create your finger? Allah Almighty, He is the one that you should serve. He is your master. But they inserted this in the Bible in order to put fear in us. I don't want to prolong my talk. I want to make it brief and precise. After the transatlantic slave trade, the Western worlds are getting their money. They became rich through the most horrible event in the history of the last 6,000 years. The triangular trade from America, Europe, and Africa. The most luxurious business at that time is to bring a ship to Africa, and the first ship that came to our shores in order to take human beings as slaves, the name of that ship is Jesus. Does it surprise you? They used Jesus to enslave us, give them the Bible and pass the ammunition, and we lost 120 million lives. So brother, the choice is yours. If you want democracy, under democracy there is slavery, there is suffering, and there is death. Slavery, suffering, and death. Is that what you want? Or you want Islam? Peace, freedom, and equality. These are the characteristics of Islam. Does it surprise you, Richard Nixon, that American president who was impeached? Don't you remember he made a statement? He had an advisor called Kissinger. He said, the Third World War has arisen and we are losing. The enemy of democracy is not socialism or communism or capitalism, but fundamentalist Islam. This was a statement made by an American president called Richard Nixon. He said the enemy of democracy is fundamentalist Islam. Let's break it down. What is Islam and what is democracy? Total submission to the will of God is an Islam. And I told you the other time what democracy is. It has nothing to do with the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. That's not true. It is the government of the rich, for the rich, to the rich, and the hell with the poor. And it is the poor that pay you as a professor. If you are a doctor, where do you get your money? From the poor. If you are a philosopher, Where do you get your pay? From the poor. If you are a president or a member of parliament, where do you get your money? From the poor. Are you serving the poor? No. The effects of the governance of Africa, particularly our country, Ghana, the effect is on the poor. The rich don't know what is going on. It is always the poor who is bearing the brunt of Caesar's brutality. I am here to say to you and I, there is a remedy. The remedy is Al-Islam. Submit to Allah and obey His constitution. The Quran is the constitution of God given to humanity. Slavery was rampant in some days gone by. But listen to what Quran says about slavery. Because some ignorant people used to say the Quran condones slavery. You are wrong, brother. Listen to what the Quran says. There was slavery in Arabia. There was slavery across the world. But listen to how the Quran, the scriptures of the Quran, diluted slavery. Listen, in Quran chapter 2, verse number 177. Listen to it. It is not righteousness that you turn your faces towards the east or the west, but righteousness is the one who believes in Allah in the last day, and the angels and the books and the prophet, and gives away word out of love for him to the near of kin and to the orphans and to the needy and the wayfarer and those who ask, and to set slaves free. To set slaves free. Islam is your inheritance. It belongs to you. Your natural religion is Al-Islam. The Western world do not see you and I as equal. They see us as 3/5 of the human being. The governance that runs this world is full of injustice, inequality. The example of what I'm talking about is obvious to the whole world. Look at what is going on in Palestine, and I repeat, is there justice in the United Nations for the Palestinians? What is wrong with the leaders in the United Nations? What has happened to their mental faculty? Can't they see with their very eyes the devastation in the land of Palestine? Those who help the Jews to come and stay with them after they have been scattered across the world because of their wicked hypocrisy. No country want to accept the Jew because they were God's prophets. They were the killers of God's ambassadors, God's prophets. Go and read the Bible. Jesus said in the book of Matthew, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you that killed the prophet and stoned those who have been sent unto you. Until when can I, Jesus, gather you like a hen gather a goat under a wing? God sent you messengers, scribes, wise men. Some you kill. Yes, some you kill. Some you kill. Some you persecute from town to town. Therefore your house is left until you desolate. You are not going to see me, Jesus, no more until you shall say, blessed is he. It's talking about the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Blessed is he who is coming in the name of the Lord. That is the coming of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Jews were scattered across the world, and they targeted Adolf Hitler to give them protection while supporting him. They supported Adolf Hitler. And the Jews are so bad in politics. They don't know who is their friend and they don't know who is their enemy. They are only good in finance. And because of their knowledge in finance, they control the government of America. They control the World Bank. They control the Federal Reserve. They control the International Monetary Fund. But they are weak when it comes to politics. A good politician knows his friend, and a good politician knows his enemy. Because the Jews have been so bad in politics, they thought Adolf Hitler was their friend. What he did to them, he killed 6 million of them. Adolf Hitler killed 6 million Jews. The world came together to sympathize with the Jews, and that's why they stole the land of the Palestinians and they gave it to the Jews. Today, if you go to Islam, there's no Jew in Islam. Historically, we have 3 types of Jews. We have the financial Jew, the Ashkenazi, and the Sephardi. The ones that we have in Islam today are European Jew. The real Jew are not white, they are blacks. Go there and see today. How many percent of black Jew is in Israel today? Less than 2%. The rest are from Europe. They like robbery. And now, those who sympathize with you, look at what they are doing to them. The bombs that were used to destroy Palestine was not used during the Holocaust, was not used during the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, was not used during Iran war, was not used during the war between America and Somalia, was not used during the war between America and Vietnam. They use sophisticated weapons to destroy buildings. Children have become orphans in Palestine. Where is the justice in the world today? Where is the equity? Where is the fairness? The same United Nations enacted a law, resolution number 786, which says no country in the Middle East should possess weapons of mass destruction. Under the eye of the United Nations, Israel has atomic weapon and they know it. Israel has chemical weapon and they know it. Israel has biological weapon and they know it. What did they say about it? Nothing. Where is the justice in this world today? Brother, the only saving grace for you is to submit to Allah. That is the meaning of Al-Islam. Now, how comes we are still under slave trade? This time not to change. The same Jew goes against the law of God from the Quran. Allah says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullah wa zaru ma baqiya min ar-riba in kuntum mu'minin. Riba is haram. To give you money with usury is haram. That's where they are getting their money from. So they will come to Africa after independence, and don't you be fooled to think you are free. The word emancipation is a Latin word. The proper pronunciation is emancipara, meaning going out of one's hand, but still under its control. A person who gives you a diameter of his knowledge, that same person will control the circumference of your activities. Today, they are controlling our economy. They are controlling our finance. They are controlling our gold mines, our uranium, our bauxite, through a system that they call privatization. You know what it means? Privatization only means sell all what government owns as a representative of the people. So your gold mines does not belong to you. Your uranium does not belong to you. Your timber does not belong to you. Your iron, your bauxite, your manganese, whatever God gave you to make your life better and easy, does not belong to you. Through what we call this IMF, these people are designed to give you money and they tell you how to spend it in order to turn your economy upside down. There was a time in 1978, 1979. At that time, we used to have a city called City Jato. What 100 city will buy, $100 will buy. They have equal strength. What $500 will buy, 500 city will buy the same thing. And even at that time, the Nigerian naira was even more powerful than the American dollar. The Nigerian naira, 80 kobo was equivalent to $100. 80 kobo was equivalent to $100. Even at that time, the Jamaican dollar was even more powerful than the American dollar. What is wrong? How comes today 100 American dollar is equivalent to 1,600 Ghanaian cedi? It's because of this IMF laws that they are giving to government after government. They will give you much money second term. Now, if the project has not been done, they will bring you more money, but the conditionality is sign the death warrant of your people. This is the type of teaching you need to hear. You get it nowhere but Walkia TV. And my brother Professor Abbas will shed more light on this. Devalue your currency, meaning let the cedi be weaker, let the dollar raise than the cedi. That is the meaning of devaluation of currency. Now, what is the meaning of currency? It comes from the word current. What is current? You need people like me to explain this to you. Current is the flow of electricity from a source to that which receives it in order to give you motion, heat, light, and energy. To diminish the electricity, meaning to weaken the ability of the nation to produce. So suppose this is a company, we all are using machine. Now if the current is low, not all the machines will work. Some of the machines, some of the worker has to go home. That's what is going on. Anytime the IMF come, then you have to reduce your workers and you weaken the city. They will continue giving you money, continue weakening your city. Continue giving you money, the more money, the weaker the city. The more money, the weaker the city. Today, look at the city. And when the city is useless, they set their eye on your goal and then they will ask you to privatize. Privatization. So today, whatever you have does not belong to you. That is the reason why if you refuse to dance to their tune, they either assassinate you or they sponsor your opposition to get rid of you. But this is the fault of the Muslims. Allah has given us remedy in the Quran. Allah knows a time like this will come. And he said, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. The greatest weapon the Western world has developed, that is more powerful than the atomic weapon, more powerful than the chemical and biological weapon, is their ability to divide and conquer. They call it divide and rule. They will divide you either by your religious affiliation, they will divide you either by your tribe or by your political party. They have to make sure they divide you. That's why they divided Africa. They cut it into pieces. When Africa was supposed to be one, and that was the vision of that leader, Kwame Nkrumah, wanted to unite Africa to be exactly like the United States of America. He wanted to make it the organization of African unity. What happened to Kwame Nkrumah? He was overthrown. They put down government. And the wicked Africa, the fragmented Africa, smaller nations like Togo will have the same seat with China. It's like getting in the boxing ring with China and Togo. Can you compare this? Can you make this comparison? When I look at the condition of Africa, with our resources, yet we are poor. They made Africa and the Middle East to be the supplier of our raw materials for their various industries. Without the resources of Africa, all the industry of the Western world will collapse. What is the remedy? Al-Islam. Inna dina indallah al-Islam. Muslims, you have a lot to answer before God Almighty. And I'm talking about the ulamas. Don't you read the Quran? Why do you think Allah said to us in the Quran, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا? وَلَا in Arabic means an article of negation. Do not be divided, because with our unity, we can change so many policies that is not in our favor. We can even stop the war in Palestine. With our voice, with our unity, with our number, 2.6 billion Muslims, yet fragmented. I will ask a question and I want anybody to answer me. Who is the leader of the Muslim world today? Who? So we are يصدكم عن سبيله ذلكم وصاكم به لعلكم تتقون. This is Allah talking to us Muslims, still trying to let us unite. Look at the Jewish people, they are only 20 million. Yet they control the economy of the whole world. They control the greatest nation in the world. They control the economy of the world. They control the IMF, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve, the US Treasury. Why? Because their secret is unity. What about us Muslims? Even in this country, Islam has been in Ghana 400 years before Christianity. Yet with our division, when we have 5 basic fundamental principles in common, your wife will be sick and you don't have a choice to take her to a person who is not a Muslim, a gynecology, to naked your wife. Why can't we build hospital for ourselves? With our unity, we can do it. With our unity, we can tell all the presidential candidates, look, if we vote you into power, you are going to sign a law that all Muslim female children have the right to put on their hijab. There are many schools that Muslim girls are not allowed to put on their hijab. And it continue like this. We can't change the policy. Why? Because we are fragmented. Don't you have House to Salawat in common? Don't you have Siyam in common? Don't you have Hajj in common? Don't you have Shahada in common and Zakat? What is the difference? Fine, you can belong to ideological persuasion. You can belong to yourself. But yet still, there is a need for us to unite and save our Palestinian family. Nobody can do it. United Nations cannot do it. Nobody can do it but ourselves. Allah says in the Quran, we will never change the condition of a people until they change it themselves. So if you are ready to change our condition, Allah is going to support us. But it is pathetic for Muslims to have 2.6 billion, yet we don't have a voice to stop the genocide in Palestine. It pisses me off. So brother, as far as the IMF is concerned, they will continue to put you under slavery. Your only solution is, by any means necessary, make it in the next world. And the only way to make it to the next world is to obey Allah and His Prophet Muhammad. Ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul. No matter how much money you have, you will die and leave it here. Let the world continue to scheme, to maneuver. Let them continue killing. By believing in Allah, let Islam be your inheritance. Hold it. Don't let it slip away from you. That is the only saving grace, brother. Because this world is not permanent, but the next world is perpetual. If you are able to stand on your feet, to become a Muslim in a world that is corrupt like this is not easy. But if you are able to stand on your ground, stay put, you become a giant in this life. May Allah bless you. I will introduce my brother, Professor Abbas Mohammed, to come on board and then shed some more light. We thank Allah for the life of my brother, Professor Abbas Mohammed, who is a Ghanaian and an economic professor in the United States of America. You are welcome, my brother. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you, my brother, my sheikh, my teacher, Sheikh RIDWN. Thank you for having me on your program. Very
Thank you, sir.
interesting topic for us to discuss today.
Yes, sir.
This is very dear to my heart, and I'm really glad to be here. So I start with the greetings of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, my brother.
So I've worked quite a lot on this space when it comes to international monetary fund and the World Bank, and as a student of economics,
yes, sir.
I had my first opportunity here in Ghana.
Yes, sir.
My first degree was from University of Ghana. From
yes,
there,
sir.
I moved on to United States, had my graduate studies in economics.
Yes, sir.
With uni, ended up with a degree in technology, master's degree
Mm.
in technology and management. I've worked in the space of
Mm.
businesses and corporate America for the
Mm.
last 10 years, over 10 years now. And
Mashallah.
currently, I'm an entrepreneur, business owner. At the
That's
same
right.
time, a professor of economics with
Mashallah.
St. Jacinto College at the moment.
Mm.
And my research interest is always about Ghana because growing up, I've experienced economics,
Mm.
the lack of resources, should I say resources, or actually the lack of proper management of
Mm.
resources at the
Mm.
highest level
Mm.
within the shores of Ghana.
Mm.
My high school education was actually in the remotest part of Ghana, now Tetrim. I
Mm.
was at Trim High School, but I was born in Kumasi.
Mm.
So I have experienced economics first at the highest level,
Mm.
where I felt it, the lack of resources cutting across several areas of our country. And that
Mm.
actually triggered my interest in pursuing further, knowledge in
Mm.
economics. And so when I look back,
Mm.
my experiences where life has taken me, I
Mm.
felt obligated to get, engage in this conversation.
Mm.
This conversation that's very dear to my heart because this is uh, the question I always ask: why are we still here?
Mm.
When it comes to IMF and World Bank, we've been in
Mm.
relationship with
Mm.
IMF and World Bank. IMF in particular from
Yeah.
September 20, 1957.
Mm.
If you are in a relationship with someone
Mm.
this
Mm.
long, this is
Mm.
about 73 years.
Mm.
We've been with this IMF and World Bank
Mm.
group. And for 73 years, we haven't moved a notch.
Mm.
We have actually retrogressed as people. If you
Mm.
look at what is happening in Ghana right now,
Mm.
the Ghana I left some 20 years is
Mm.
better than the Ghana you guys have today.
Mm.
So, what has IMF done to us if they are indeed partners of development? If
Mm.
anyone can tell me a relationship that will last 73 years and you haven't actually moved anywhere, you're gonna keep that relationship, then tell me you're rational. And that's what
Mm.
I want Ghanaians to ask themselves.
Mm.
As we sit here to talk about these institutions. I
Mhm.
want you to ask yourself, would you be in a relationship with someone for
Mm.
73 years where you're not
Mm.
going anywhere?
Mm.
And that's what
Mm.
we've done.
Mm.
All these years that we've been with them, we've gone through several changes under their
Mm.
hands. We
Mm.
can look back into economy of Ghana, as I studied
Yeah.
at the
Mm.
shores of University of Ghana,
Mm.
the economy of Ghana and the structural adjustment system and all the other programs that they brought. What has
Mm.
it led us to?
Yes.
Well, it begins,
Mhm.
to ask the question of why are we here? All right.
Mm.
There are several reasons, and some of
Yes,
the
sir.
reasons that they have identified, even
Mhm.
in their books. I
Yes.
researched in their books as to why we are here. The first reason they gave us is colonial legacy.
Mm.
We are still under the shackles of colonialism.
That's right.
We've not evolved as people where we can move forward from colonialism. They still have their hands on us.
That's
So
right.
it doesn't matter what we do right now if we don't change certain things, which
Yes.
is what I'm going to go to in the next part
Mm.
of my presentation. I
Mhm.
want to bring our attention to why we're here and why we haven't moved anywhere.
Go
So
ahead,
we
sir.
have legacy that must change.
Mm.
And then
Mm.
our resources is something that we have to look at in terms of
Mm.
management. That's what
That's
they say. This is the reasons they give us.
mm.
That we have limited economic diversification of resources, that
Mm.
we have weak institutional framework. This
Mhm.
is from them. I'm reading, their reasons why we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Global economic trend, and that
Mm.
we are in a debt trap.
Yes,
And
sir.
they admitted that their conditionality, which is what you were talking about, Sheikh, their conditionalities when we borrow money from them means that we spend our entire life trying to finance their debt
That's right.
rather than developing the
Mm.
economy where it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a nutshell, if you look at the reasons that they've given us, it
Yes,
shows without saying that we're not going anywhere with these people.
that's right.
So, the question is, why are we still participating in this
Mm.
relationship that has failed us
Mm.
over several years since
That's right.
independence?
Go ahead.
And that's where we need to pay attention to. That so there
That's
comes the
right.
solution.
Yes, sir.
Before you even know that this relationship is not going anywhere, ask yourself who is managing the economy, who's actually driving our policies as far as growth is concerned. The research
Mm.
that I did and the article I just published on academia, anyone
Mm.
interested to find it,
Mm.
is the
Mm.
COVID recovery and the way forward for Ghana is on
Okay.
academia.com,
Okay.
academia.edu. You can find it. It's an 80 pages
Mm.
document that tells you everything about Ghana and what we've
That's
gone
right.
through the last several years. Because you
Mm.
all are aware they put some $1 billion into the economy, and
Yes, sir.
we haven't gone anywhere with that. So if you
That's
want to
right.
read more on that, you can get that. But the
Mm.
question I identify in that relationship is, even as it stands right now,
Mm.
all Ghanaians, whether MPP or NDC, do
Mm.
not have a target of where we need to move the economy to.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
In
ahead.
economics, we say the potential GDP. So
Mm.
if we're looking at anything in the US, when we teach students economics,
Mm-hmm.
we teach them economics in the sense of having a purpose.
That's
What
right.
is the target for the US economy as we grow it?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, if I ask any Ghanaian, whether MPP or NDC, I don't care who the candidate is,
Go ahead, sir. Go
they
ahead.
will not be able to tell me what our potential target is. So we're
Mm.
in a relationship with people that know what to do, but they're not telling us how to do it correctly.
That's right.
So that has failed us.
Mm-hmm.
So to find a solution, we have to rethink economics.
That's right.
So my assertion or my conclusion is that number one,
Mm.
we must reassess how we think about the foundations of economics.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who has taken economics, whether high school or university or college, will
Mm-hmm.
tell you that our economics is built on the concept of scarcity. The
That's
fact
right.
that we do not have enough resources, therefore we have to find ways to manage it. And
Mm.
I'm disagreeing with that as I sit here today. And you
Yes,
can
sir.
find more of that in my document where I say our issue, our mindset of economics should be reframed from the basic principles of
Mm.
scarcity to abundance.
Mm-hmm.
I want
Mm-hmm.
our people to feel hopeful that we have a lot of resources
Mm.
and that if we harness our resources quite well,
Mm.
we can do better than what we're doing. So instead
Exactly.
of thinking about scarcity and how to manage limited resources, why
Mm.
don't we think about having a lot of resources, but we haven't figured out how to manage it?
That's
And
right.
that with that mindset comes positivity, because
Mm.
according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Okay.
individuals who are motivated by psychological needs, starting from their basic survival to achieving full potential, meaning
Mm.
self actualization, is achieved when people believe that they are better rather than making them feel that they're inadequate or
Mm-hmm.
poor.
That's
If
right.
you tell me I'm poor, you're telling me I'm hopeless.
That's right.
But if we feel that we are rich by the
Mm.
existence of resources that we have right now in Ghana,
Mm.
and that if we work so hard, we come together with a unified purpose, we
Mm.
can achieve anything we set our goals to
Mm.
be.
Mm.
So with that
Mm.
mindset comes positiveness.
That's right.
All right. With positiveness, we become hopeful people rather
Mm.
than hopeless people.
Mm.
Right now, we're hopeless, and there is this conventional hand for resources. That's what we see, which is your corruption. The corruption we have is because people have this sense of scarcity that if I don't take opportunities today, tomorrow is not going to exist. And hence, I have to do all I can in my power that when I
Yes.
have the opportunity to take it all. But if we all believe positively that we have enough for it to go around, everybody can be okay when we put our hands together and join hands on the purpose, we can achieve it for ourselves. Even in my research, I alluded to the fact that our potential GDP per capita, which is how we measure the success of an economy, by a person, if we divide our resources amongst all Ghanaians, I'm alluding to you. Now, challenge this perception that I have that if we share our resources, each one of Ghanaians sitting there today is a millionaire. I'm saying your GDP per capita potential is now 2,200 that IMF has written down in their books that we are so poor that if we share our resources, it's only $2,200.
Wow.
But I'm telling you that given our resources, bauxite, oil, gold, cocoa, all these products that we have,
That's
we
right.
are potentially all millionaires. With that mindset, we could drive an agenda where everybody is hopeful. In the next 20 years, we will have a vision where a child born today in 20 years potentially can be a millionaire in dollars. That's my assertion. And I want everybody to challenge that if you have resources that we have, and harness the resources quite well, we can achieve this. So this is my point number one, that let's recover the mindset of the fact that we are better than where we are.
That's right. That's right.
And that we don't need anyone to destroy us.
That's right.
All right, before we can achieve what we want to achieve. That if we come together, we can be better off.
I agree with you.
And that the resources that we have are public goods, which means they have two characteristics. When something is public good, it has two characteristics. The characteristics, number one, is that it's non-rivalry. So you enjoying something doesn't stop me from enjoying it. And that you enjoying something doesn't mean that it's going to deplete. These resources are not going anywhere. If I quite remember growing up in Ghana as a child, when it rains, in Kumasi, I used to pick up particles of gold. That's how.
That's right. That's right.
I pick up particles of gold, take it to Goldsmith. He will weigh it and give me money.
That's right.
So where is that gone? Okay, how can we be poor? I won't take that from anyone. So if we believe that these resources are abundant, and that if we exploit well, we're all better off, and it has no rivalry in consumption. The fact that you consuming it doesn't take it away from me. And then the second characteristics we're going to have, if it's a public good, is a non-exclusivity in consumption. That means you consuming it does not prevent me the opportunity from getting that too. So with this mindset and these characteristics of our goods, why would somebody actually dig a hole in their room, for God's sake? All of this is because we are made to think that everything is scarce around us.
That's right.
We can harness these resources better, sustainably, where we don't destroy our environment. Because the people digging the gold, I don't know where they want to spend their money. Because you did destroying the country. So tomorrow, where are you going to even drive? The roads are not going to be sustainable because everything under the ground has been, excavated. So how do we even going to have roads to drive on if we continue Galamsey?
Can I ask you
what water are we going to drink?
Can I ask you, Prof?
Because they made us think that we are inadequate, we can't figure things out. And I'm saying no, we can figure things out, but we have to accept the fact that we have enough to go around for everyone. So that's our point number one.
Yes, sir. Can I, before you go to point number two, excuse me, Prof. Before you go to point number two, in a situation where 60% or 70% of Ghanaians are illiterate, and if you go to the Western region, there's no much employment over there. The only thing available is to do the Galamsey. So if you are given the opportunity to serve as a minister of environment in this country, what would be your first step towards this Galamsey, which actually is spoiling our water bodies, and there is nothing the government can do. If you are given an opportunity as a Minister of Environment in Ghana, considering the fact that even right now when it rains, you go around to pick gold as soon as the rain ceases. There is gold, there is still gold in Ghana. But what will be your condition to this ministry of Ghana? Say, whilst we are the second largest producers of gold in Africa apart from South Africa. So given the opportunity to become the Minister of Environment, what would be the necessary steps you should take in order to employ the people in the Western region to continue their gold business without destroying the water bodies?
What I was gonna say would have answered everything you have, as far as economics is concerned, because the question we have to ask ourselves is, do we have an option for these people? Because people are sitting there idle, looking for things to do, and they're hungry and they have to survive.
That's right.
So you do not question someone you haven't given them alternative when they're trying to survive, because right now it's an issue of survival.
That's right.
So if that condition exists, which is as a result of the first point I made about scarcity. So if as people we believe that we have enough and we can come together on a purpose to build structures and institutions where people will get jobs without having a name associated with them, whether they're MPP or NDC or any tribe,
that's right.
We can move the country forward. These guys will start. Give them option. Show them where the jobs are. That's the question. But we are not on a unified purpose. That is the problem with Ghana. If we cannot unite on a purpose, then we cannot solve the problem. I don't care who comes in power, MPP or NDC, they're gonna give us the same thing that they've done over several years. So what I'm saying is,
that's right.
If I walk you through what I'm thinking, you probably agree with me by the end of my presentation that when we take this approach, which is the last point I was going to make, we will change things. These people will believe in the Ghana that we all love and cherish. The Ghana that we love and cherish is getting torn apart. We're divided by the existence of the institutions that we have, which is my point number 2. We have to rethink our democratic dispensation, which is dividing us as people. We are now looking at each other in terms of party colors. Why? When we know we all facing the same problem, but we haven't figured it out.
Exactly.
NDC has figured it out because we've tested them both. So nobody can tell me it's going to be different. I can guarantee that we're not going to go anywhere with this approach until we come together on a purpose and a reason and how we can achieve it. So that's my point number 2. Our democracy needs to be looked at, because seriously, as a business manager and somebody who has run teams of businesses for several years, I have not seen a situation where I can actually change a business within the short time that these leaders have in 4 years. Seriously. At the time you settle on any position, like a national development position, it will take you a year or 2 to discover, and by the time you get going, election is coming in the 3rd year. What do? You start a project and you pursue the next election. This is what they have over the last several years. How many projects have not been started that is not continued?
That's right.
Because of the approach and the institution that we have in the democracy that needs rethinking. We have to look at it in the long term.
That's right.
People will argue that what if we make it longer for corrupt people? So that's why we move to point number 3 to correct the mistake. All right. My point number 3 is the most important point I'm alluding to you, and it's based on economic study of the American economies. All right. So I'm suggesting an important feature of what we need to do, or actually the solution, the chief solution of what we have to do, is to rethink our governance in Ghana In that case, I made a proposition for what I call the National Economic Management Commission.
Mm.
This commission, in my estimation, is going to be a structure where it's independent of our political parties.
Mm.
This structure is going to mimic what they have here in Federal Reserve. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to give you a little history about U.S. Federal Reserve, the reason why U.S. is U.S. and nobody can match them. Because
Mm-hmm.
they have a system in place where I don't see anybody coming close. They'll
Mm.
continue to lead the world until we try to figure things out the same way.
Mm.
U.S. has had so many bank runs. As I look at my chart here in the office, they were operating a system of central bank similar to Ghana since 1789.
Mm-hmm.
And they have had several economic recessions and depressions. Chiefly among them in 1811, the banks were shut. 1836, they closed their banks. 1907, they came together and were like, this is not working. The central bank system, as it exists in Ghana, is not going to go anywhere. It's not working. So what did they do? In 1913, they pioneered this idea of Federal Reserve Act, which
Okay, excuse me, sir. Before you continue with that, that in the 1913, before 1913, the that is the council, that is the senate,
yeah.
the ones who are in charge of printing the money.
Mhm.
They tried to make sure what happened in Europe does not happen in America, because
Exactly.
they made a mistake of allowing the central bank to go into the hands of individuals. But
Mhm.
before 1930, it was the Senate that paid the money. So
Mhm.
after 1930, in 1914, the Federal Reserve Act was sold to individuals, so they paid the money. And
Mhm.
before the only way they can get profit is to create wars. That's
Mhm.
where they make their money.
Mhm.
So now, what you saying? If the central bank of a nation is in the hands of individuals, isn't it going to affect the poor the most? That's
Well,
my
it
question.
depends on who these individuals are.
Okay.
The central bank system, as it exists today,
Mm-hmm.
is managed. The Federal Reserve is managed by 12 independent districts called the Federal Reserve Banks in the several districts across the United States. 12
Okay.
members who are not politically aligned, on the outward with any political party, and these
Okay.
are typically economists. So they make decisions, and they have what they call the dual mandate of managing their unemployment and inflation over here in the United States.
Mm.
So these people has a prime and an ultimate goal of making sure that the economy moves where it needs to be. As I speak to you today, they have been able to recover the economy to the point where we've tamed inflation, still under one digits. And Ghana is dealing with inflation in 23%. We are dealing with inflation around, 4, 6%, and we complain in United States. Their
Okay.
mandate is to keep inflation under 2%, unemployment not more than 4%.
Okay.
So these people that are, economists or technocrats that know how these things work have that mandate. They moved from the central bank and gave it to this independent commission to actually run it. So what I'm suggesting is that we can
Mm.
have a bipartisan approach where the people that are going to make these decisions about money, because the whole concept of corruption is on money, right? So if
Mm.
we take the power away from the political leaders, because they actually have no clue what they're going to do with this opportunity, that's why Ghana hasn't gone anywhere. So what I'm saying is that our monetary policy, fiscal, and even the functions of central bank should be, divided from the politics of Ghana. So the governor of Bank of Ghana should be the chairman of our National Economic Commission. So that person, with the consultation with the members of the commission, is going to decide where Ghana is going to go. They would devise our policy, our vision will be put together by this group of people who are economists. We have a lot of economists. And the government will have a representative on the table, but the selection of these people will cut across all Ghanaians. If we want to go with the political parties, no party will have more than 33% representation on the table. So can you tell me how you're going to achieve a 70% vote on a 33% stake in on the table? No, everybody will have to come together. And that will change how we rule our country. And that will reduce the power the government has to print money and mess it up, and people will be corrupt. Because what we do right now as it stands is the government has absolute control on our finances. And that's where the issue is. So if we take that control from the government and give it to the people are represented by these guys who are going to sit on the commission and decide where the country is going in the next 20 to 50 years. Because as it stands, the World Bank doesn't have a vision for Ghana that will get us there, because as I look, I don't see any potential GDP. But in the US, when I teach, I have a potential GDP to tell the students that this is where US is trying to go, and this is where we are, and this is how we're going to get there.
Let me ask you, Prof. Maybe I don't know whether this will work. For instance, if you look at the Jewish community, they are being paid reparation, right? Okay, now Africa owns over $400 billion. Suppose we demand for reparation, meaning the money that we owe is going to be balanced with our reparation. That means nobody owes us anything. So that means the money that we use to service our debt, now we use the money to control our economy.
Yes, and with a system like this in place, our debt will be forgiven. We have a clean slate to start with. So that's a very good point.
Don't you think it's a priority? It's a must for our debt to be ward off, because you are not the ones who did that evil to our people, to our grandpeople, grandmothers and grandfathers, but you are responsible, because it is our money that built your world. So that if you can give the Jewish people reparation for what happened to them during the Holocaust, the greatest Holocaust was the transatlantic slave trade. We didn't lose 6 million, we lost 120 million. And those countries who are richly are the ones who are responsible. The United States of America, the government, or the British government, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the Italians, and I think the Greeks too, and even some Arabs. You see, if we can get leaders who can stand on our feet, on their feet, to demand reparation, because the Jewish people are not better than us. And if you look at how they suffered, and you give them reparation because of their suffering, they lost 6 million. What about the transatlantic slave trade, the Holocaust, that we lost 120 million, cannot be compared with 6 million. So do you think Africa should come together and demand reparation? And in demanding the reparation, that means the money that they say we owe, we don't owe nothing. That means the money that we should service our debts belongs to us. We can use it to develop our economy. Otherwise, if you continue to service our debts, no governor, no political party can remedy the situation that we are facing. We will live as poor and we die as poor. And that is the reason why in my own presentation I said the only remedy is to obey Allah. Otherwise, there's no way you can make it with this policy that runs this world. It's a wicked policy.
That is absolutely true. With the current situation that we have, it's not going to go anywhere. But if we have an independent economic management structure, like I'm suggesting, then we can make a case for what you say. And I agree with you 100%. Because if we continue this cycle of servicing debt and taking more money and try to service it, nothing will be achieved. All we can do is signs of progress, but not real progress. So how are you going to fight Galamsey with an approach like that? It's not going to go anywhere.
That's
because
right.
people will continue to figure out a way of survival. I
Mm.
call it a survival, means of survival. So if it's a means of survival, then you should expect people to do whatever necessary it takes for them to survive. But if we give people hope and believe that we have enough to go around for everyone and that we have a team in place that can fight for our cause, that's not politics.
Mm.
It's not about MPP or NDC. These are
That's right.
teams that we vote in place that whose term will cut across any political. If we continue the 4-year democracy, that's fine if we want to do it, but it
Mm.
will cut across these 4-year terms that somebody voted on is vote on competence and he's going to stay on this commission to serve
Exactly.
for a long term. Then we
That's right.
can make a case
Mm-hmm.
for ourselves and the rest of Africa.
Mm.
But the
Mm.
whole problem is not only a Ghanaian problem. It's the
Mhm.
same issue we have even the whole of Africa, where
That's right.
our purpose and what we want to achieve is not clearly defined. I
Mm-hmm.
want a child in Ghana to tell me the vision of Ghana right now.
Mm.
Can you
Mm. Mm.
tell me what you think of this country in 20 years?
Mm. Mm.
Nobody can tell
No,
you that. So why
that's right.
can't we have a vision that I am aligned with, where a
Mm.
child can see the vision of Ghana that has a road network across all the regions in 20
Mm.
years or in 50 years?
Mm.
You can take it up to 50 years. You can
Mm.
go process, right? Up to
Mashallah.
50 years, but this is the picture of where Ghana is going to be.
Mashallah. Mashallah.
A Ghana that we can have road networks, railways, all of that connected in 50 years.
That's right.
But we can only achieve that if we unified on the purpose. But
Mm.
the current democratic dispensation
Mm.
is only dividing us. We can't even talk
That's right.
amongst ourselves.
Mm. 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 Thank you so much, Professor Abbas. May Allah bless you. We've really enjoyed your analysis of this program. We thank you so much. But I want us to speak a little bit of our local language for the people in Kumasi to know it is their son who is speaking. It's not some black American. No, it's our own son. It's our brother from Kumasi. And we did the same Makaranta Umaria under the leadership of Ustaz Salman Ali. May Allah bless his ahira. He shaped us. He contributed to what we are today. So ina son jama'a da Allah a yi haƙuri ɗan minti biyu. Shi wannan bakon namu ɗanmu ne kuma a ci gaba da mai addu'a. Wata rana Allah yadda wa'annan mutanen su da su zama da ministoci kuma suke da idea. Shi yasa Allah cikin yardansa ya bari ɗan zango ya je kai wannan matsayi saboda mu ma nan gaba da mu za a dama. Shi yasa jama'a muna muku kashedi dan Allah kada ku yadda ku je ku kashe kanku saboda wani shugaban kasa wani member of parliament ka je ka mutu karkashin demokradiyya wanda ma ba wai za a san ka in ka je ka rasa ranka fa kai kada zaɓin ne kawa kana da incin ka je ka zaɓi wanda kake so amma kada ka je ka yi faɗa a kashe ka saboda wani ya ji daɗi. Shi yasa dan wana Abbas da Allah dan na mutanen mu magana dan minti biyu saboda lokaci ya isa. Da wani shawara da ka ba yan uwanmu wanda idan ka zo NPP musulmai ne ke gaba kuma yan zango in ka zo NDC musulmai ne ka gaba ko yan zango amma idan za a yi rigima su wa'annan yan takaran ba sa ɗauko ƴaƴansu su kawo sai dai mu suke zuwa cikin zango a zuwa ɗauko wanda za su musu dirty game kuma we are always ready to go and play the dirty game for the politicians kuma we don't have an agenda for the Zongo community. We don't have an agenda for the Muslim community. We have our agenda for our political parties, but not for our community. In kuma ka duba, the most backward community in this country are the Zongos. Shi yasa wani shawara da aka ba ƴan uwanmu da ke cikin wa'annan political parties yadda za a je a yi zaɓe lafiya ba tare da sun je su yi wani ta'asa ba. Don idan suka je suka yi wani ta'asa ba su da zagi ba addinin za a zaga. Za a ce to ai kun ganin su musulman nan kenan fefefo. Ka gani to wani shawara ne zaka ba ƴan uwan musulmai yadda zaka je ka zabi shugaban ƙasar da kake so ba tare da ka je ka wani tashin hankali ko wani ya neme ka kai ka je ka biya mai bukata ka je ka mutu don akwai mutuwa da ake ko kwanaki wajen rubuta ya sunan shi registration daga Accra mutum 7 suka mutu ka gani kuma yawancin masu faɗin nan masu faɗin nan musulmai ne ƴan zango kuma shi yasa don Allah muna so ka ɗauki minti biyu haka saboda lokacin mu yayi ka ba ƴan uwan mu shawara a cikin Hausa a yi taka tsantsan. Wannan jami'iyya kana da yancin ka je ka dogara wanda kake so, amma kada ka je ka yi fada bale a kashe ka. Allah ba zai baka aljanna ba saboda bai aiko ma demokradiyya ba, islama ya aiko ma, annabi Muhammad ya aiko ma. Shi yasa dan Allah ba mu shawara.
To alhamdulillah, Allah muke godiya da wannan ranar. So yanwa abinda zan ce ne shine shi halin da muka samu kanmu cikin ga kamar dai yanda muka tattauna cikin English, har yanzu shekara nawa kenan, 73 muna waje daya. So yau in kai kaje ka ba da kanka kana yin aikin banza ne, saboda cewa ba inda za mu je ta halin da muke tafiyar da lamuran mu haka. So kai za ka je nan kana son wani fati, to falillahi alhamd, kare ka saya wajen, amma ka da ranka ko saboda wani. Dan su wannan shugabannin nan in kun lura kansu suka fi gyarawa fa kafin su gyara. Ka tambayi kanka wanda ke tura kan nan ya rayuwar shi yake, ya yi banta rayuwar shi da naka ko yaran shi. Duba kanka, yaran shi na zuwa turai suna school, ana duba lafiyar su turai, matan shi na haihuwa turai, kai fa wayan sun kuma ba ku da aiki.
That's right.
Yana wajen nan shekara da shekaru, wani amfani ya mutu as a community, ba amfani mutum da ya ko biyu ba, ya ajiye mana wani hanyar neman wajen ci abinci. Kai mutum na sai kan abu biyu, shi ne abincinka da security, lafiyarka.
That's right.
Da kiyaye lafiyarka. Kai wayan gabin ga har yanzu muna fama wajen ci abincinmu. Kakka yi tunanin kamar mai shi zai zo ya sake ma wani abu. Ina kana da ko, ka gane ko, amma ba bai kai wannan wajen ba. Dan as a country shi muke tattaunawa.
That's right.
Ba mu da wani tsari ko wani mataki da muke da shi da zai kawo mu da ci gaban gaske. Ba ci gaban gaske ba, shi dai wasanni muke cika yi.
That's right. Lalle kam.
So in dai wasanni ne, to me yasa kai zaka je ka san da ranka saboda wani dan shi ta amfani kanshi. Da yanzu abinda ka lura shekarun da ya wuce garuka, mutane ne ke gyaran kansu fa.
Kore ko.
Masu kudin duka political parties ne na da shugabannin su kufa, mufa. So me yasa? Ka kai tunanin wani abu zai gyaru inda ya halin da muke shiga. Gyaran shi an zama mun zo mun duba mun tattauna. Sannan mu da ke zangonnin mu ake zuwa a yusun mu a damfin mu an gama, ku tambayi kanku me suka muna. Na gaske ba wani kila masallaci ba, wani tsari aka yi da yaran mu matasa. So abin da nake son kawo hankalin ku kenan, as a group of people, yau ka tashi in kana neman na ci ko ka kare su, akwai aikin nan da za ka yi ka shiga, ba da shigan wani da fitan wani ba. To kaga lokacin da shi ke gwada ma gari har yanzu da sauranmu.
Kwarai ko.
Don tafiyar da arziki ko tattalin arzikin gari ba abin mutum guda ba ne. She mun haɗa kai, mun zamna, mun tace, mun ga inda ya kamata mu nufa. Amma ba halin da muke ciki yanzu ba kenan. Yanzu halin badda wayansu wani arzikin ne, yan gaban su kawai ya ci amfani da yan abin cikin mu.
Na'am.
Na'am. Ni abin da zan fari kenan. So in za ka yi na kai tunanin gobe, yau dai ka samu na ci, gobe fa.
Na gode.
Haka suke barin mu ci yau, su sa mana kuri a jihu, ya zo su kare su bar mu wajen, sai kuma wata rana.
Sai wata rana. Jazakallah khairan. Wallahi professor, ba mu sai na zamu gode maka ba, Allah dai zamu gode wa da ya ba mu kai. Muna roƙon Allah, ubangijin Allah subhanahu wataala ya taimake ka a cikin ayyukan da yake yi, ka zo ka zama ɗaya daga cikin ministoci a wannan ƙasar. Kila remedying situation da muke facing ga yana hannunku musulmai. That is the reason why Allah elevated you to such a position, because in the future he has a plan for you. Mu namu ne mu taya ka da addu'a dare da rana. Yasa jama'a da kuke saurare na wannan maricin, ni ne dan RIDWN. Shi bawan Allah nan da ya magana nan dan zango ne. Dan mu ne, don Allah idan aka yi sallah rika sa shi cikin addu'a. In dai muna da irin wa'annan mutane to addu'a mu ya sa ya je gaba. Kila wannan maslaha na ƙasar nan da muke ciki yana hannun masu sallah ne, kuma ga ɗaya daga cikinsu. Allah na iya jin tausayin mu saboda sallan da mu shi ke yi, ya mai ilhami akan ilimin da yake ciki, kamar ikaza mutane da su samu sassauci cikin rayuwarsu. To jama'a dan Allah ku taimake mu a yi ɗanan nan addu'a, a ci gaba da mana addu'a, a taimaka a yi mai addu'a idan aka yi sallah. Wannan bawan Allah yau ne kuka fara jin shi a wannan dandali na Walkiya TV, kuma insha Allah zai sake dawowa. Ina fatan kowa ya ji daɗin bayanan da ya yi, ba musulmai kaɗai ba ma, wanda ba musulmai ba yanzu haka suna saurara, za su ce waye wannan kuma za su ce cewa zangon da na yanzu ba ɗaya bane. Zangon da shine waye fi karfi, waye iya kai. Zangon yanzu is about knowledge. Shi yasa dan Allah ku taimaka mana, duk wanda ya sallah ya tuna dan uwanmu Professor ABASS, ya sa shi cikin addu'a. Allah muke roko ya mai kariya, ya kare shi, shigan shi da fitan shi bangi Allah ya kare shi, ilimi Allah ya kara mai da fasaha da basira. Ubangijin Allah ya protect shi left, right and center, duk inda zai shiga Ubangijin Allah ka sa shiga da bismillah ya fito da alhamdulillah. Professor, thank you so much for coming into the show. We really appreciate you. May Allah continue to bless you. May Allah exhort you. Inshallah, like I said, we are coming back.
Inshallah.
You have some more. You have some more to share with our brothers and sisters in this country, and we are going to use this medium in order to share knowledge with those who don't have, because that's what we need. We need knowledge more than money. With money, with knowledge, you have power, and money is power. So if Allah has blessed us to have people like you, then your responsibility is to come and help those who don't have it. So inshallah, we'll work it out and then we'll give you a call, inshallah. I will leave you to Accra tonight, but inshallah, I'll get in touch with you. Thank you so much for coming. May Allah bless you. I greet you in peace while we bring the show to an end. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Thank you so much, my brother. I greet you in peace once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome, my brother.